Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. What do you see there? Oh, you see myself. Wow. That's not so interesting. We want the presentation. Thank you. So, thank you very much, all of you, for being here this evening. I know it's late, I know it's been a long day, but we are going to make this presentation informative and fun. We're going to take your questions as well. We're going to walk you through our recruitment process so that you understand better how do we do recruitment in the CTBTO, and if you apply, what happens with your application, and what is it that you will need to be doing. So, here with some of my colleagues, people who work at the CTBTO, we're just very happy working where we are. We are very enthusiastic. We give our best and all to do so. We think that this organization is an organization where if you start working for us and you look some years, then after some years you look back, you can really say this experience was worth it. So we do think this is an employer of choice, and we hope we can convince you of that, and we can actually also get you to apply. This session is being conducted late because we want to give the opportunity to people who are probably watching us right now online, and because of the time zone, so that people from Latin America, Caribbean can also see us. And we will be conducting the same session tomorrow at 10 in the morning, so that we cover the whole CTBTO region. We will be also conducting a session which will be a little bit more focused on young professionals on Thursday. So this is the team. It's small, but we are, as I said, very dedicated. And what we do is not only recruitment, but also staff development. We take care of our staff members to ensure they have everything they need in terms of training and development throughout their CTBTO journey. I am Marta Fernandez de Mazarambroz. I joined last year as Head Recruitment and Staff Development. And some of my colleagues who are in this picture and here today, I would like you guys to raise your hands, please. Martine, where are you? There you go. I'm going to introduce one more person. She's going to actually introduce herself because she'll be co-delivering this presentation. Hema, please.
Hello, everybody. My name is Hema Kularatne. I'm a Human Resources Officer. I'll be talking to you today about the competitive recruitment process at CTBTO. Thank you.
There you go. So, this is the bigger team. We take this picture, I think, every year, basically. This one we took some weeks ago. These are the people who actually work at CTBTO. This is a real picture. These are the people that make it possible and follow the mandate of this organization. So you see the ES, you see directors, you see us somewhere, somewhere in the picture. So these are the people, and if you ever join us, you will be working with this CTBTO family. I don't want to talk too much about the organization because probably you know a lot, quite a lot, but I will be briefly walking you through the divisions so that you see that all the vacancies that we publish are in one of those divisions. For your information, it's a pretty small organization if you compare it with other international organizations. We are 300 staff members. Most of the, or two-thirds of these 300 are in professional positions. I will also walk you quickly through the different staffing categories, contractual modalities that we have. And we try to have the widest pool possible. This is why you will see us in LinkedIn, you will see us disseminating our vacancies as much as possible because we want to have a broad pool. From the gender perspective, as you can see, we're not doing that bad. Considering there's a very technical organization, we're doing pretty well, but we want to do even better. And also 91 nationalities, which is a good representation. Again, we also aim at doing better. These are just some pictures that you can see, our people in action, and our aim, which is putting an end to nuclear explosions. Let's have a look at the different divisions. So the first one is the Office of the Secretary. There are different sections there. Ours, for example, in HR is part of this division. We have then the Division of Administration. You will find positions in general services there, or procurement, finance, budget, these sort of positions. And you will also find positions in the International Data Center Division. This is one of the technical ones. And as you know, is the division that actually receives all the data coming from the 337 stations which are monitored and maintained by the IMS, which is the second technical division. We have a couple of vacancies in these two divisions, so please have a look at our website. We also have some vacancies in the legal and external departments. Here we do look for people who have experience in these two areas. We also have, obviously, our lawyers and people who work in external relations, liaising with external stakeholders. And finally, we have the on-site inspection, which, as you know, is until the treaty enters into force, is developing capabilities, training inspectors, and also conducting exercises here in Vienna, but also abroad. So these are the 6 divisions. And as I said, all the vacancies you will see in our vacancy notice are included in one of these boxes or one of these divisions. We take real pride in actually being active in online, and you will see, I will show you a little bit as well, LinkedIn and so on, what we do. But if you want to learn more about working for us, there is plenty of information, and we will be expanding this even more in the future about joining the organization. So what are the CTBTO benefits? What are the vacancies that are out there now? What are the staff categories? The internships? What if I'm hired and I live in a different country? Living in Vienna, how is it, and what information I can obtain. So you can find all this information there. You don't need to already be part of the family to receive this information. You can check it out, because we think it's important, if you're interested in our positions, to know this information already beforehand. And because probably you will feel very interested in joining us. If there are any questions, we will take them at the end. If you don't mind, we will walk you through the presentation first. Probably you've seen this video. Let me just play it. It's a 2-minute video. I want to show you the ES promoting the organization just with the same passion as we do.
Do you want to help us put an end to nuclear testing? Hi. I'm Robert Floyd, the Executive Secretary of the CTBTO. I invite you to learn more about our work and to consider joining our team of talented and dedicated people from all around the world. On the CTBTO website, you can explore how the 300 staff members of the CTBTO contribute to the global effort to ban nuclear testing everywhere, anytime, and for all time. Our mission matters for international peace and security, while also delivering important civilian and scientific benefits to our member states. We're looking for early career individuals through to experienced leaders, the best and the brightest, who are willing to apply their skills, talents, and experience to our mission. As a technical secretariat, we need people who have scientific and technical expertise, which helps ensure our unique verification system detects any nuclear explosion. Beyond that, we also need people who have passion for policy, administration, budget and finance, procurement, human resources, project management, and the law. In terms of our culture, we're an empowered, high-performing and accountable team where everyone is treated with dignity and respect. As international civil servants, integrity, professionalism and respect for diversity are our core values. They're also the words we live by every day. As the leader of this organisation, I'm committed to ensuring our team is strengthened by diversity in all forms, across gender, geography and generations. We're looking for remarkable people. I hope you will take the next step in your journey to work with us. We can't wait to meet you.
There you go. Let's start talking about some interesting details. If you're familiar with the UN Common System, you will be familiar, or the ICSC, the International Civil Service Commission, you will be it's familiar also with the sort of contracts or the sort of contractual modalities that they have. So as I said before, 2/3 of our staff are professional staff. This means they need to comply with a series of requirements starting with a university degree in the related area. And as the grade goes up, the organization, it starts at P2 all the way to P5 in addition to directors. You need to have increasing years of experience on that related area to be considered for the next step. If you comply with those years of experience, and Hema will be showing you a vacancy, we're going to have a look at a vacancy, we will see that as well, and you comply with other mandatory requirements, you will be considered for the first, so to say, you will pass the first filter. Professional staff are subject to tenure in our organization, just as in other organizations. We have a policy whereby professional staff, after, in our case, 7 years, need to make a break of at least 12 consecutive months. General services staff are staff that actually support in a very technical way the organization. Their contracts usually go all the way. They are obviously, like everybody, subject to performance management, but the contracts can actually go forever until that person actually retires. And there are other benefits and entitlements that apply that are a little bit different. We also have short-term appointments and also temporary assistants. These positions are not part of the main fixed-term staffing plan. These are positions that come up once in a while because we have a very concrete need for a very specific period of time. And this can be on the general services side, it can be on the professional side as well. We also need consultancies, consultants who have very, very niche experience on some very, very specific areas, but we do not need them to come every day. It's on a bit of a call-off basis, and usually the recruitment process differs a little bit between how we hire for fixed-term staff, 7 years, or for general services, and for these needs that are shorter. We also have JPOs and cost-free experts. This category is discussed always with liaise with the member state that wishes to sponsor one of these junior professional officers or cost-free experts. And we have internships, and we will talk more about internships during our session on young professionals, so I'll stop there. So let's talk recruitment. My colleague Hema is going to walk you through the first steps. You will see what you will need to do if you apply and what happens to your application, and then I will take over a little bit later. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Martha. So, as I mentioned before, I will walk through the competitive recruitment process. And as my colleague mentioned before, all our vacancies are advertised in our website. And at the moment, there are a couple of technical and scientific jobs are there. And also, we are working on a number of posts right now, which are on the pipeline, and they are going to be advertised shortly. Therefore, I highly recommend that you keep an eye out on our vacancies. So with that, I would like to move to the next slide. Okay, so this is an infographic that our recruitment team has prepared for the candidates, all of you to go through step by step how you should apply, the things that you should follow when you apply for a position. So this is this step-by-step guide is available in our website under Working With Us page. So what I'm going to do now is to give you some also some tips and tricks. Also, I will mention some important information could be included there, but because we have some challenges in the process, I thought I should use this opportunity just to highlight some of them. And also, before we start the process, I want to emphasize that your job application is very important, because this is based on your job application, we make the decision to look whether you are suitable or eligible for a post. So this will decide your suitability and eligibility to be considered for a particular post that you are applying. I must say, your job application is your passport to enter a career with CTBTO. Therefore, please take your time to prepare it. You cannot do it in a rush. You will understand that when we go through more slides. So the first thing you need to do is to understand the job requirements. How you do it, how do you decide which job you are going to apply. So first, read the vacancy notice carefully, look for the duties and responsibilities, qualifications and experience. So as you go through your duties and responsibilities, you should reflect your depth and the breadth of the experience that you have, and you should see an alignment of those responsibilities and your experience. It could be the task that you perform in your current job or the previous job, and also some knowledge that you gain, and also maybe some transferable skills that you have gained, which will set you for success in this role. So this is a little homework that everyone should do before you decide to apply for a job. So now you did this homework, you are very convinced that you can do this job, then please let's go ahead and apply for a job. So in our job application in CTBTO, there are three main components. The first one is to create a profile. As I said, I just mentioned some points here because those are pain points for us as recruiters. So first advice from me is to always use your personal email address as the contact information. This is because sometimes we try to reach out to the successful candidates and we find that they are in between transition in jobs. If that happens, our email will not land in your email inbox, and then we will lose contact of you. So the second one that I wanted to emphasize under the profile is the languages. So under this section, please list all your languages you are proficient in, all CTBT official languages. And please note that fluency in English is a mandatory requirement to work for the CTBTO. So therefore, if I may say, fluency is defined as being fluent in all the 4 areas of the language: speaking, reading, writing, and understanding. So it's very important that you fill this field, otherwise we cannot move you forward in the process. With that, I would like to move to the second most important component of the job application, that is the employment information form. We call it EIF. So this EIF is also a mandatory requirement, meaning for you to be considered, you need to upload a completed EIF to your profile. So if you CV or resume, if you upload CV or resume, that will not be considered as a substitute. Please note that, because sometimes you have excellent experience, but we have this requirement, so we cannot move forward. So with that, now is the most important 2 sections that if you must have seen in the employment history form. There is a section for description of duties, and there is another section for achievements. So this space for the description of duties is the space that you can articulate your related work experience and knowledge that is directly related to the job. So I am going to, in the next slide, I am going to take an example and walk you through how to do this. Also, I will give you some tips and tricks along the way. So with that, let me move to the next page. Okay, so this is a currently advertised job on our website for the Seismoacoustic Engineering Officer. Please note the level, it is at P3 level. So, of course, with the deadline of July end, please have a look at, together with other jobs, please have a look at this as well. So I'll move to the next one because I just want to recapture what I just mentioned, and I wanted to show you how it is mentioned in the job vacancy announcement. Okay, sorry, now only the highlights come, apologies for that. So under the duties and responsibilities section, I have highlighted some action verbs. So you need to, when you read it, please read carefully with the action verbs and associate deliverables. This will give you a good picture of what you are supposed to do in this job. Should you become the successful candidates, this will be what you are supposed to do. So read this carefully, and we will talk more about this later in the slides. And if I move quickly to the next slide, so as my colleague mentioned, depends on the category and the level of the job that you are applying, there are mandatory requirements. So this is a P3 position, and we need a university degree in the related field. And then that should be coupled with the years of experience. For this is at least 5 years of relevant working experience. So if we talk about a P4 position, that would be a master's degree with 7 years of relevant work experience. This is as an example. Since these are mandatory requirements, you may have to read it very carefully to decide whether you meet the criteria. Otherwise, it will be like, waste of time. You need to really look at these things so that you may move move forward in the process. And then again, another thing I wanted to highlight in the under work experience, if you look at the screen, you see some experience is required and some are desirable. So those required experience is mandatory. You need to have that experience. And the desirable are not mandatory. However, these are some factors that we will, as recruiters, use if we want to narrow down the pool of candidates. We will look at the desirable factors. Therefore, my advice to you is, please also, if you have any desirable experience, please also indicate that as well in your EIF. Then the last point is about the languages. As I mentioned, fluency in English is a mandatory requirement to be considered. So with that, let's look at how we can do this thing work. Hold on. Okay. So this is the little exercise that I wanted to do with you to align your experience with the duties of and responsibilities of the position. So you have already done your homework. You read your vacancy notice very carefully, and you're very convinced that you have the relevant work experience. So in order to really formulate your sentences in the job description duties part, you had to take a piece of paper and write a T. This is we call the T technique, and then get all the important points from the duties and responsibilities and stick it in one side of the paper. Here I have put only one bullet point as an example. And then with that, when you put it now, focus on that one bullet point that you have in the piece of paper and reflect your depth and the breadth of the experience and see how it aligns with the requirement that is required from the job. So now you need to write it on your own words to say how you will be a better candidate, good fit for this job. If you can have a minute to read. The job requires designing an outreach strategy and establishing partnerships. You may want to say, supported an outreach campaign and assisted manager in liaising with potential partners directly involved in the development of key partnerships. Meaning when we recruiters and the hiring panel read this, they understand you have directly related experience for the job. So as I said, your job application decides whether you're going to be shortlisted or not. It's not the hiring panel, it's not us, it's the job application. So having said that, I would like to give you some tips, quick tips that you can use when doing this exercise. Showcase your alignment with the job. This is exactly what we did here. And then focus on most applicable skills. You may have done many things in your past life and your new life now, but they may not be relevant for this job. So there is no point you mention all the things because it might not add value and the reader will be lost in the information. The focus might be lost. So the next one is be concise and brief, avoid long sentences. It's also the same thing, and I have also seen sometimes candidates copy-paste from generic job descriptions. This should be avoided because there is no value add there. What we want to see is your experience, your knowledge, your transferable skills from your own words. And then use action verbs and powerful phrases. We saw there are some action verbs in the example here, and my colleague Martha is going to talk about action verbs in her session as well. So therefore, I will not go into more details on action verbs. And then emphasize your role, very important, because we are assessing you and your eligibility and suitability for the role. We are not assessing your team or your supervisor or colleague. Therefore, be mindful to mention your role in the whole thing. And then also cluster duties to main areas of responsibilities. So you might find when you read all the bullets for the duties and responsibilities, there are some duties that you have everywhere. So after you do this exercise, have a look again to cluster those duties to main areas of responsibilities. By this way, the reader can read it easily and it will stick in the person's head, and then you will be, chances are more that you will get long-listed because it's easier, clear, and it identifies the related experience. With that, let's move on to the other major portion of the application. That is the achievements. I know that a lot of candidate applicants find it hard to write their achievements. So this is an example achievement that we have written here. Before we discuss this, I would like to talk about the quick tips here. So this space in the application is your opportunity to articulate and provide an overview of your positive results that you have accomplished in your specific job functions. It could be past, it could be present. And then also, when you do that, use the action verbs. And I know that most of the time we are just busy with our own jobs, and we know that we achieve things on the way, but we forget sometimes by the time you write the application, you are already have only 1 week for the closing date. So with that mindset, you will not remember your achievements most of the time. Therefore, always take a live document, just a Word document, keep it a living document. Whenever you achieve something, just type it, just write it there and save it. So this will be a living document. Whenever you have something, just have a quick look that will refresh your memory. And also, again, be clear about your role and contribution. Quantify the achievement. So when you write the achievement, try to use figures and the percentages. So you can quantify the achievement that will have more impact and it will become more even compelling. And highlight the impact of your achievements. So if possible, see whether your achievement, how it positively impacted your team or the organization as a whole. So let's see, read this out. Successfully designed and delivered 10 career fairs to large audiences of over 1,000 participants from all CTBTO regions, with the aim to position CTBTO as an employer of choice. As a result, candidate pool increased by 10%. Please note the use of action verb and also note the usage of quantitative data that we have used in this example. So this is the way that you should formulate an achievement. An achievement is not, this is not what you do on daily basis. This is something you have finished and achieved, and you recognize it as an achievement for this particular job. So with this, let's move on to the last part, last component of the application form. The profile, the EIF, and the last one is the cover letter. So this one is your unique opportunity to articulate your value proposition. So basically, you need to clearly mention why you need the job, what are you bringing to the job, and also how your overall depth and the breadth of experience will make you a good fit for the position. So basically, this is your opportunity to convince the hiring manager and the hiring panel how your past responsibilities makes you a best candidate for this position. And with that, please also briefly explain your motivation in applying and highlight only the salient points. Please do not repeat the EIF, because everybody reads the EIF. We know what you have done in your position, and we know what are your achievements. There is no need to repeat the EIF. And also remember to customize your cover letter to the vacancy. Me as a recruiter, we have sometimes candidates submit, I see some are smiling already. They take time to change the contents of their letter. They forget that it was addressed to another UN organization and even another position, nothing to do with the position advertised. So therefore, this will not be a good sign. Therefore, please take the time to read and adjust everything. And then elaborate elements to succeed. And also, as I said, you are going to tailor-make the cover letter for this position, and this is your value proposition you're going to talk, and also talk about your personal character. Say about your strengths, say about your attributes, and tell them how these will support you in this particular role. By this way, your personality can shine, and the hiring manager can get an idea of who you are and how you think. And then the last thing also, of course, to tell your story to convince the hiring panel. All these points are to tell your story to convince the hiring panel that you are the best candidate for the job. And I think that's all from my side. And then I wish you good luck with your application. I hope these tips you will use. And also I look forward to receiving your application in the near future. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much, Hema. Those are very, very important tips, and I absolutely subscribe to everything she said. Actually, one more would be, please read very carefully what you submit before you submit it. When I was working at the OSCE, many times I had to read, and instead of being an expert in public law, an expert in public without the L law, you can imagine? Pubic law, so, just read the application and don't make typos like this, because of course, it just, takes a little bit away, the formality of the application form. So, this is in a nutshell what Hema was explaining. Let's take it from there. You have applied. You have been longlisted. Why? Because you comply with the minimum requirements. You probably even exceed them. Just with complying them, you're part of the long list. And your application form has gone through several other filters. You stand out. You have done exactly what Hema said. You actually have the experience. you probably caught the eye of the hiring manager and you will be included in the shortlist. Now it's getting narrower and narrower and narrower. There are many people that are behind you. This competition is fierce in every organization and for every post. But now you're there. So what happens next? This is what happens. Who is familiar with asynchronous interviewing? Sondru, Modern Hire, Recruiter, HireView? Nobody? Okay. International organizations, many organizations or many companies in the private sector use asynchronous interviews, and I will explain to you in a minute what they are. This part of the CTBTO recruitment process is the part when you will need to show that you have the technical knowledge. Not the competencies, that comes later, the technical knowledge. So in the vacancy, announcement that Hema was showing you, it's the technical part. You're going to get exercises to be done. You're going to have to reflect on things. You're going to have to analyze data, whatever. You're going to have to do that in a specific period of time. So you need to be ready for this. We won't ask any motivation, competency-based questions, nothing. Here is purely technical. Now, asynchronous interviews are a way of getting to know what the candidate has to say. It can be with different questions. As I said, we use technical ones, being recorded in front of a camera. So if you get an invitation to one of these, what you will get is an invite to go into a platform, period of a week, I think it is, no? To do it in the comfort of your home, whenever, or the comfort of your home, and whenever you have the time, and you will get the opportunity to practice a bit, and then press start and see a question on the screen, get a timer, usually 1 minute to 2 minutes to take notes, and then be recorded, and then respond to that question. And usually, we give 3 to 4 minutes to respond to that question. Believe me, 3-4 minutes is nothing when you're doing one of these. It's a great way of seeing how people express themselves in the language that you're going to have to work in, which is English language. It's a great way to see how proficient you are in that technical knowledge, because it's not about, well, I need to prepare this. What is it? No, you need to be ready for this, because supposedly you've applied for a position that you know your stuff on. So we want to see that there. This is why there's a time pressure. And obviously, as well, we need to make good use of the panel's time. They will be watching all these interviews. For this one, you usually get 3 to 4 questions. Usually, as I said, 1.5 minutes to think, 2-3 minutes to respond. This sort of methodology is used in addition to a written test, or only this, and then a competency-based interview. So you might receive an invitation to this, or you might receive an invitation to this and a test, or only the test. Now, if you receive a test, it's an email from our side saying, are you available? You have been shortlisted. Could you do a test on this time and at this day? When you confirm, you will receive an email with the test and all the background or documents that you would need to receive in order to do that test. Usually our tests are about 1 hour, can be 2 hours, 2 hours, 3 hours, no, we don't do 3 hours. We usually 1 to 2 hours. You might get 2 to 5 questions to respond. How you will receive them? This is a scenario, please analyze and let us know your recommendations. I don't know, procurement. Please analyze this data, prepare this, and how would you do with the vendors or whatever in this specific situation. It can get really technical, so you need to be ready for this. And you're usually given, as I said, some time to do it. So it's not that in a week you can actually open the email and do it. Usually what we do is we send an email and we expect to receive it exactly 2 hours later, because all the candidates will be subject to that. All the candidates have gone to this step. So this is that part of the process. As I said, very technical. Let's say you pass this. A couple of weeks later, you get another email, and you're invited to a competency-based interview. Who is not familiar with competency-based interviews? You're not familiar with competency, I will explain them in a bit. And we do competency-based interviews only. We do not do other, let's say, biographical interviews. We do not do critical incidents interviews. We actually do these where we explore a series of competencies that we think are very important for this post. It's not that you will not have to show others, but these ones that we're going to ask you are really, really relevant. So, competencies are a sort of behavior that when you show it, you're successful in what is happening to you in a specific scenario. And you can categorize them in many ways. We use a compendium that is very similar to the UN one. We have professionalism, we have accountability, we have client orientation, et cetera, et cetera. And there is a very concrete definition for that, and there are very concrete positive and negative indicators for each competency. So please don't think that when the panel is assessing your interview, they're just thinking, yeah, good teamwork, yeah, I spoke with these people, and yeah, I think they did well. No, it's much more numerical than this, and it's much more transparent and solid than this. We look at the indicators, okay, how did this person do? What level of competency? How well did this person do in this competency? So it's still that competition and at that level, because obviously you will be interviewed together with other candidates. Let me see what we have now. So as I was mentioning, this is one of the competencies, commitment to continuous learning. It's very important, especially in this organization that is so technical. We cannot just stay, do our job and not learn anything. We need to really be hungry for learning. So these are some of the indicators that we use. You keep abreast of new developments. You actively seek to develop yourself. You contribute to learning, to the learning of colleagues, etc. You show willingness to learn from others. This is what we will be looking for. So when you get this email, you're going to be invited to an interview. We usually give about 1 week or so, depending, 1 week or so for you to prepare, to know that it's coming. And there is a service that we provide and other organizations don't, as far as I'm concerned. We will call you the day before. We will walk you through the technical things. We do interviews via Teams. We will see the technical part. We will explain to you, calm you down, because it's a very, very stressful situation. I've been a candidate many times. It's just you're nervous, So we really want to ensure that everything else is done, you're calm, and you're going to focus on your questions. Why do we do competency-based interviews? There are many ways of interviewing somebody and knowing more or less how the person is going to do. But human resources is not an exact science, and there are many. We can also bring the person to the CTBTO, put the person to work and see if that works, and then bring the next, and then the next. It wouldn't be efficient at all. Competency-based are the most successful way of interview, considering the time that we have to get to know you. So make use of that time and use these tricks if you have not used them before, because you will really stand out if you follow these instructions or these tips that we give you. You need to come with a past relevant example, relevant to the post, relevant to the question. If you're being asked teamwork, choose an example in teamwork. And as much as possible, an example from an experience, a job experience that is relevant to that post. That will sound great. And try it to be recent. If you bring an example from 20 years ago, how am I going to know that you're probably going to display the same competency now? I don't know. You have evolved so much. So really try to bring relevant examples to the table. Also, and that's another tip that Hema was giving you, I do that too. Whenever something happens, it's like, this is a competency-based interview answer. I write it down, what happened. You will forget. So many things happen to us as professionals. When the time comes to prepare for this, really write them down so that you have your 10 relevant examples that are really, really relevant to the post. Have them ready. Practice. Make your role stand out. I have interviewed hundreds of people who come with fantastic examples. fantastic, but when we ask, okay, what was your role? The role was minimal. We don't want that. We want to see you in action. So don't worry if the example is not extraordinary. It was something that happened to you one day, but your role was decisive for that moment. And the outcome of that scenario was because of what you did, of your action. So this is what is really important. So the panel is trained to look for four things. The situation, when, where something happened. I was working on the OSCE and I was blah, blah, blah. This happened in year this. My role, this was my post title, I was managing a team, and this was the task I was working on. The action, this horrible thing happened. Okay, you don't have to say horrible. This thing happened, and this is what I did. And then what happened as a result of my action? And the best, if you want to really make it even better, just say what you learned, because we all make mistakes, and that's okay. Actually, some of these competency-based questions might be the other way around. Tell me about a time when something went wrong. You made a mistake. You missed a deadline. Your team did not follow because they didn't trust in what you were saying. It can go that way. Be ready, because we're human. And we all make mistakes, and sometimes things just do not go the way we want, and we want to learn from that experience as well. And as Hema was saying, do use action verbs here as well. If you did something with people, you can say, I did something, I spoke with people, I called this person, I worked with others. No, I liaised. And that encompasses so much. In other languages, I'm sure as well. In the English language, I can tell you that an action verb says a lot. It's very charged of meaning. But don't create fatigue for the verbs. Try to be, just try to learn different ways, different synonyms of actions, so that the panel can hear different things, no? And there's plenty of information on action verbs. I will just show you a couple now. There's plenty of information on action verbs that you can actually learn and be ready to use. These are video conference. We don't bring people to the premises. As I said, they're via Teams. You can expect about 30 minutes for the questions, but there will be an introduction. There will be a final part. 4 or 5 questions, competency-based. We will dive directly in. Other international organizations ask for the motivation and explain a bit. No, we dive directly into the competency-based. Be ready for that. And we will tell you which competencies at the time of the interview. We will list them. Be ready to respond to that. And you will see 4 panel members. The hiring manager, usually the director or delegate of that division. You will see a subject matter expert, somebody from another division, but who is an expert in that area. And you will see somebody from a different division as well, just to ensure that there is enough diversity and that we're conducting the process with total transparency and in a very solid way. You will see us too, but we are ex officio. We are there to ensure that that interview and the whole process is taking place according to our framework. We're custodians of the process, so we will ensure that the panel members ask the same question the same way. You might have probing questions. You ask a question, tell me when you had, blah, 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 and then you respond. And if the panel sees, okay, I just need to dig in a little bit more, then they will ask a probing question. Don't worry, you didn't do anything wrong. We're just getting deeper into it. So that's why, again, prepare for these questions. Time yourself. You can't imagine, I'm sure you can, but you can't imagine how incredibly fast time goes when you're in this situation. After 2.5 minutes, the panel is going to start already like, okay, when is the person going to finish? Do I have my star? No, yes. And the next question, do we have time? The next candidate is coming. So 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes max. You need to start ready. Okay, this is the last part of the example. I'm not going to explain what happened. And then you prick the attention again, and then you finish. Okay, so that's also an important part. What else can I tell you? These are some action verbs. This is all over in the internet. I don't have, it's just examples we wanted to bring on how some action verbs can be used, because really use always the same tame verbs. Just try to use others as well. This is also, we wanted to show you, you can say things in a passive way, or you can say things in an active way. You can say, the revenue was increased. I increased the revenue by 10%. My team and I made that possible. And that's much more powerful than it was increased. Okay, so if you did something, say it. If it was you with a team, say it as well. And if it was you with other people in a department, do mention it. But always, always mention your role. Try to say, I did. This was me and my team, but my role was. Don't be scared of that. The panel is looking for what you did, not what your team did. They didn't apply, hopefully, I don't know. But that is your interview. It's your moment, okay? And what else do we have? Oh, these little cards. Please, whoever doesn't have one of these little cards, we have them in our booth, which is upstairs. You go up the stairs, and you will see us. You can't miss us. And we have been really very active in trying to talk to you. These cards we just created because we wanted to give you 10 tips to be, to do a good job in a recruitment process, no matter what happens in the end. There are many times you don't get a job, still you learn from the experience. And I wanted to actually focus on this practice timing yourself because it's really, really important. If you're going to have an interview, time yourself. I'm timing myself right now and I'm talking a bit too much. Time yourself. Explain it to your family, to your pet. Say it again in front of the mirror. Ensure that you're smiling, that you're there, that you're engaging, that you're looking at the panel members' eyes, even if it's on the screen. Ensure that you really engage with them. And we have these cards up there. And if you flip them, we have the QR code directly to our vacancy notice. So please make sure that you take one before you go at the end of the week. So follow us on LinkedIn. We are very active in LinkedIn and other platforms and social media. That's the way. It's here to stay. So we are very active there as well. So in addition to our website, we go into social media to tell you that we were in an event, that we met with other HR practitioners to learn other practices, that we had virtual job fairs where you can actually chat with us directly, that we go to events like this, that we had staff events so that you see, if you join us, what's awaiting for me, you know, what's awaiting. And I think that's all. Exactly. Yes, there you go. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you. We hope this was the information that you were looking for. We would love to receive your questions. I think there is one online from our colleagues following us live, which I will start with. I will start with it. How can I download your presentation? Good step-by-step instructions. Thank you very much. We need to know if we can download the presentation and we can actually share it. We can share it with you. We will then make sure that we prepare something that you can take. Also in our website, we have resources that we would like you to see in order to prepare. This presentation really walks you through the whole step. However, the two banners that we have upstairs, Hema just showed you one part. You have the rest of the cycle as well. Do look at this, and we will be putting both. One of them is already on the website. The other one, we will be putting it as well. Or is it there, Mahmoud, already? We will do that as well, and you will see the whole cycle. But in any case, we can prepare something for you to take. So we have a question over there, and over there, yes. You will get a microphone, I think, because I don't know. You will get a microphone.
Thank you for the information. So some of the positions require experience. What exactly counts as experience? Can, say, an internship count as experience and all that, yeah?
Are we talking about internships concretely, or are we talking about positions in general?
For the positions, for the P3, P4 levels, yeah.
So, as I mentioned before, we follow the International Civil Service Commission standards, which are very strict, and they tell you exactly how many years, minimum years of experience you need to have in a specific area, in the area that we are looking for that position. So for P2 level, we don't have P1 in this organization. It starts at P2. It's 2 years of experience. For the P4, it's 4 years of experience. P3, no, sorry, did I say P3? Sorry. P3, 5 years of experience. P4, it's 7 years of experience, and then it goes up. So when we are looking at your application form, we will definitely look at those years that you need to display. If you have more, it's great. Actually, most people have more years of experience, but for these positions usually is that, and we will be looking at this, and that it's really related experience that you're displaying and not many years of experience in different fields of expertise. I don't know if I answered your question. Are you looking for internships?
No, I'm asking about if say I apply for P2 and it's 2 years experience, and one of the years it was an internship. It was not like formal employment. So
I was an internship.
yes. Like
Okay.
1 year.
Yeah. And usually what we are looking for is relevant professional experience. That's what we are usually looking for. But it is true that internships are counted. They cannot be counted the same way since they are not, you know, the responsibilities, the level of accountability is not exactly the same way. But if it's a relevant internship, it is counted. Not the same way, but it is definitely counted in addition to others, to other employment records that you can actually show. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hello, this is Linh from Vietnam and living in Vienna. Thank you for your presentation. I find it very effective, especially in the way that you said, as you mentioned earlier, practice makes perfect, and I'll make sure that I'll practice a lot of times. And then I guess my question related to the length of the CV, the cover letter, and especially the length of the EIF. I assume that with the CV, it should be 1-2 pages, and it should be the same for cover letter. But I'm not sure with the EIF, because obviously we want to make sure that the experience is relevant and concise, and we don't want to make it too lengthy.
Yeah.
So thank you.
You want to limit your characters. First of all, I think the system does have a limit for the cover letter. It does. No, it doesn't have a limit in the cover letter. Okay. No, but the cover letter it does. No, I thought it. Okay, for the application form, you can put as many employment records as you wish. However, my own experience, if you have, let's say, in the case of people who actually do many consultancies, one after the other, and it's 1 month here, 6 months there, if it's possible for you to cluster some of those experiences within one employment record, 1, 2, 3, you know, it's better to say several consultancies for this client or something like this, and then you cluster that. If it's really going to be consultancies of 1 month or not, because otherwise it's going to be an extremely long employment information form. I would do it like this. Usually what we see is one employment record per job, so to say, that you have actually performed. That's what we usually see. Yeah. I think there's a question over there. You were, yeah, over there, yes.
Thank you very much. My question is, what is the relationship between the general service and the P service, P career, in terms of the screening phase?
What is what is the difference?
The difference in terms of the screening phase from general service career and the P kind of career, the professional.
So if I understand, so how would you actually present an application form if it's for general services or for professional?
Yes, because I have experience from other section of the UN that for general service screening is different from the professional service.
Yeah. In terms of application, yeah, I mean, in terms of application form, we don't make a distinction between one and another. But of course, requirements in one or another category are different, that's for sure. And so I wouldn't make a distinction in the terms of achievements, what Hema was saying, when you need to put the achievements, I wouldn't make a distinction if it's a professional or a general services position, but what you need to do is comply with the requirements for that position and for the staffing category. As you know, general services does not require a university degree, but the professional does require in every case. So that, for example, I could tell you, but I wouldn't make a distinction. You will need to put your achievements, you will need to put what you have done, you will need to put with whom you have liaised in order to, achieve your goals. You will need to put the same information as if you were applying to a different staffing category. Or as short-term, for example. We also have sometimes short-term opportunities. It's the same thing, it's the same procedure, and I would not make a distinction there.
Okay, and you don't need to get an approval from my country government?
If you need an approval,
Yeah.
no, you are applying as for a contracted position within the organization, so you do not need to, for our own purposes at least, you do not need any approval. It's not a secondment, so your organization, your authorities have nothing to do with you applying. But that's from our side. Like, I don't know in your case if you're maybe employed in an institution, in a ministry. I don't know what kind of, procedures need to be done for you to actually not apply, but for you to get hired in the organization. But from our side, we don't require anything. If you apply, you will be required to upload some of your information. For example, you will be required to upload your passport. It has to be a valid passport. You will be required at some point also to present educational credentials, etc., etc. But that's what we would require for us, yeah.
Thank you.
There's 2 hands over there. Yes. Hema, come and help me.
Yeah. You told that you will be providing us 2 hours time for the test to conduct, and you expect us to reply within the next 2 hours after receiving the mail, right? So both of us belong to 2 different time zones. Suppose the time you sent me the mail, I'm sleeping, and I wake up after 2 hours.
No.
What is the
That
case?
won't happen. That won't happen.
Okay.
We will contact you and we will say, dear sir, you have been shortlisted for this position.
Mm-hmm.
The next time you will receive is an invitation to a test which will be conducted on this day and at this time, Vienna time.
Okay.
Are you available? Yes, no. It's only when you confirm. For the modern hire, the asynchronous interview that we use, we will also let you know in advance. The good thing about the asynchronous interview is that you have you have several days to actually do it. If it's a test, once you say, yes, I'm available, that day at that time, Vienna time, you will be receiving the test. And usually what we say is, there you go, the test. Have you received it? Please let us know. And we wait there until you actually respond and you say, thank you, I've received it. I'm starting with my test. So that's the way we usually do it. It's a bit traditional, but it works very, very well. And we really ensure that people are engaged and they're receiving and they're getting their time. By the way, on the written test, this is not just arbitrary that we choose all the questions and this and we don't check. We are very strict with our hiring managers. They are very conscious of the fact that it's a test, that you're nervous, that you need to show something, you need to think, analyze, draft very quickly. It's a stressful situation, no question about it. However, it's really measured to the sort of questions and to the sub-questions you're going to receive. If it's a 2-hour test, it's not going to be one question and it's going to be a couple of questions or questions that will be pretty demanding. If it's 1 hour, it will be usually less. But this, we always liaise with the hiring managers to ensure it's reasonable to be done within that time. Do you want to add anything? Yes.
Hi again. So about the technical written test, we are following, our tests are designed to follow best practices. So basically, we try to administer the test at the same day, on the same day at the same time with all the candidates. So in doing so, we will depends on where you are joining from in the globe. We try to agree on a time, particular time on a particular date, and then we do a lot of coordination with you in advance and tell you on this, at this time you will receive a test to this email address, whatever you prefer. And then now you are, the moment you receive the test, you need to acknowledge the receipt to tell us you got the test, and then you say, depends on the duration, 2 hours for example. After 2 hours, you need, within the 2 hours, by the time that it will be clearly stated in the instructions of the test, and then that time you need to return it to us. As soon as we receive it back, we will also acknowledge the receipt. So, and also I must say, since we follow best practices, we advise the candidates not to write your name. So this answer script will be graded anonymously. So basically this means the panel who evaluate your test, they do not know who you are. And after they provide the evaluations to HR, we will then have a look at it and then we'll decide the cutoff point for the next level, just to be fair. Thank you very much.
Thank
You're
you.
very welcome. That was great, yeah. Any other questions? Yes.
Hi, I'm RJ, and thanks again for the presentation. My question relates about the recruitment timeline, like how long does it take, and basically, thank you.
Yes, yes, very good question. So usually our vacancy notices for professional posts are for 45 days. And for general services positions, we usually have 30 days. After that, then comes this whole process that we have explained to you. It's not only us, it's many, many stakeholders involved in this process. It's, as I said, the hiring division and other people who are really taking their time to work on this and to really find the best candidate for that specific position. And recruitment processes are also, can be also influenced by other factors. We have had situations where we post position, we are in the middle of the process, the hiring manager finds another job, or falls sick, something happens and that person cannot be there, and then we need to kind of hold off on that recruitment process for a while. So the usual time can be up to 6 months. It can take longer, it can take less time. I mean, it really depends on the urgency of the post and also on all the things that are happening and everybody that is actually involved in that recruitment process. For example, we have a couple waiting, but all our colleagues in this are in the SnT, just like us. So this week, no interviews. And then, of course, people come and go and they have vacation. And so we really need so many people involved in the recruitment process. It sometimes can take a little bit longer. But I would say it's a 6 month. Of course, after that, the executive secretary is the one who takes the decision, the appointment decision, and then the candidate needs to tell us when they can join. And they have periods of notice period. So it can be that as of the point when they say, yes, I want the job, thank you, I want the offer, I will come in 2 months, That's more or less the timeline.
Thank you again.
You're welcome. Yes.
Yes, you described a very rigorous process, which is obviously very closely defined. But I missed one thing. It always was traditional that at the end of an interview, the candidate had the opportunity to ask questions of the panel. And this would seem to be particularly important, especially when you don't bring the candidate to the duty station. And now, is the questions in the other direction now done through a different process, or can you just clarify that?
Sure, absolutely. Yes, indeed. And sorry, it's a part I forgot to tell you. So when I mentioned that these interviews take about 45 minutes, it's because the competency-based part is usually 30 minutes. But there's, at the beginning of the interview, everybody introduces themselves. And also, usually the hiring division, it gives a bit of a description, explanation of what they are looking for this position. What is it that this person is going to do once hired? And at the end of the interview, availability will be explored, and the candidate, yes, indeed, has the opportunity to ask one or several questions if there's time. And usually these questions are very technical. They're usually about, okay, what is it that would be expected if I join the organization the first couple of months? Yes, absolutely, there is time for candidates to ask a question. Yes, absolutely. I hope I responded to your question. Yes, okay. Thank you. I don't see any other questions online. I mean, they're very quiet over there. So from your side, anything else you would like to know? We are going to do the same session tomorrow, as I said, and also Thursday. I'm sure you don't want to hear the same thing again, but just in case if there's any question that pops up and you would like to ask, we will be here tomorrow as well. So if no other questions, we'd really like to thank you for being here. I know it's very late. Thank you very much for listening, and thank you for your questions. Thank you.